Wow!
Good afternoon, cherished listeners. Today is 5th April 2022, and we are back again on Tech Talk on Valley View Radio 97.7. Here on Tech Talk, we look at mind-boggling questions and we discuss new tech. I am your host, Mavis Namesa, and today we'll be looking at education in the world of information. Yes, we are learning, and there's so much information around us. When we look here, we look there, we find information. But which ones are the correct ones? Which ones are the ideal ones? Which ones should we be looking at? Which ones should we, forgo? Today we'll be looking at them, and also we'll be looking at tech trends. That's what is trending for the week, and we'll also be looking at security tips. If you don't want to miss them, stay tuned. Before we start with our discussion, we'll be looking at the trending technologies, that's the tech trends. And to do that, I'll invite John Patrick to take us through with the tech trends. This is Tech Talk on Valley View Radio 97.7. Welcome, John Patrick.
Yeah, thank you very much, and I'm very happy coming back again, and good seeing you. I hope you are fine.
Yes, I'm very fine.
Are you sure?
Yes, very, very, very.
Oh, I thought you aren't, so I gave you something special. But since you are, before then, let's get into the trend.
Okay.
Yeah, so on our first, we are looking at Elon Musk getting the majority sharehold at Twitter.
Okay.
So now he's the shareholder. Yesterday, everything was finalized. We are not saying he owns Twitter now, but when you talk about people who have shares in Twitter, he has the majority. Now, remember last year, the owner of Twitter, Jack Dorsey, left Twitter so that other people would continue working with it, to continue the project with it. So very soon too, he will be made to come to serve on the board, the Twitter board, and I think it's going to be good. However, he have the mind that Twitter had been trying to suppress free speech, and that is recently those on Twitter a lot realize that when people tweet which is a bit offensive, they are suspended or their account is deleted. So they have permanent suspension, and then the rest. Elon Musk sees it to be a form of suppression of freedom of speech. So to him, he had been suggesting that I think there was a tweet of him that he was asking people whether he should create another social media platform where anyone can say anything they want. Okay, but yeah, people agree, but I don't see it coming since he has joined Twitter himself now. Joined the company as a shareholder. I don't think he's going to bring up another social media platform to compete with Twitter.
Are you him? You're thinking for him.
I don't think he's going to do. And I think the first thing that's going to happen is to have the edit button on Twitter. So you see, when you really if you really like Twitter, you realize that there's no edit button. What you write is what goes, and when you have typos, that's all.
That's all.
Yeah. And people begged for it, but the founder and the former CEO said that no, you should know what you are typing before you post. So, but Elon Musk wanted to have an edit button. So yesterday he made a poll, which I also voted for a yes button, and I think that's going to be cool. The next one is Facebook users are getting their accounts locked out.
Just like that.
Yes, just like that. And I think a couple of people have reported the case. However, we are yet
why is that so?
Yeah, we are yet to get any formal information as to why that is happening from Facebook.
Is it because they are not using their accounts regularly, or maybe they're
No,
doing
they are
something
using, but they just come up and
just
a
like
message
that?
just comes to you that you are logged
Yeah,
out.
locked
Me too.
Oh, okay. So Eugenia happens to be a victim of that.
Okay.
Well, we are looking forward to what Facebook will be saying. So that's on the trend when it comes to technology. And let's move fast on Twitter and look at our trends. On our trends, the first is Abina Koko. Yeah, a very is bipolar patient who gets, he says a lot of things. And recently he has, I think yesterday, he has this banter with our former captain, the Black Stars captain, Asamajan, and that's making her to trend. People are seeing her as a liar. Besides, she was cursing Asamajan.
Wow. Hey.
For something she also admits it happened. So yeah. Then the next is Dr. Baumia.
Yeah.
People, and it's all about the economy and especially the e-levy. People are trying to ask why he's not talking.
He's not saying anything. We are
Yes.
not hearing from him.
Yes. And others are also coming up with the view that he don't agree with all that is happening, especially with the e-levy. But as long as your government agrees to do this, you have no mouth again
No.
to say. So it binds you. So that's why it doesn't. So that's what is making him to trend. And then the next is our information minister, Honorable Kojo Opon Nkrumah, is 40 years today and is celebrating his birthday. I think on behalf of the team, we say happy birthday.
Yeah,
He was here recently during our 27th congregation and graduation ceremony.
Yeah.
So I think that's our for you today.
Okay, thank you for this nice trends.
But will you like to get the gift? The thing I wanted to give
I'll see you after.
Are you sure?
Yes, after.
We want
Okay.
to see it.
I don't owe anyone. Pa, I don't owe you at all. Have a good afternoon.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, why you attacking me?
Before anything else, I want to say a big shout out to Seth. And Seth is a very ardent listener, and I want to say thank you for tuning in and listening to us all the time. And I'm not alone in the studio. I have my wonderful panel with me in the person of James. He will be helping us today with our discussion. And also I have Pa Amwa who also help us with the talk. So it is actually reaching me that James was the SRC aspirant. So yeah, he's hopeful for the SRC position. So while you're listening, be thinking and making your decisions as well. Our topic for today is education in the world of information. And as I said, there's so much information revolving around us. When you look left, when you look right, there's information. But how do we differentiate between the good and the bad? What are the good things we should look out for? What are the things we should also, discard? So that's what we'll be talking about today. We are going to start, and the very first question is, what are the various forms of education?
All right, thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm very grateful to be here.
You're welcome.
Very interesting. Before we look at the various forms of education, we would want to look at what education simply means.
Okay.
And when we talk of education, what are we trying to say?
All right.
So I would say that education cuts across varieties of areas. Once you are going to have a change of behavior due to some form of experience or due to some form of something you are exposed to, once it is going to be positive, then we can't say that it is education. Now, coming to talk of it, since you can have experience in diverse forms, we may say that you can have We can talk of formal education. We can talk of non-formal education. We can talk of informal education as well.
Okay.
So when we say formal education, then here we are looking at a well-structured and then a well-planned educational system. Mostly, it is with the school session where you wake up in the morning, you go to school, you go to lectures. There is a teacher, there is a facilitator, there is a learner, and that kind of traditional system of classroom. Even though sometimes it can be via the internet as well, but once it is structured and then it is aimed at a specific goal, then we can say that is what a formal education.
Okay.
Then talking of the informal education, then here we are talking of the information we usually obtain at our various homes. Probably your mom teaching you how to sweep, your mom teaching you how to cook, or your friends teaching you how to do a certain thing. Then we can't say that what that is informal. It is not structured. It is not planned. You can learn deliberately, or you can also learn unconsciously, something like that.
Okay.
Then the very last one, which is the non-formal education, that one is mostly associated to the adults. That is adults who want to learn some kind of literacy, who want to learn some kind of mathematics, but they are not, school going age. Let me put it that way.
Oh, okay.
Normally, we've seen, I think for some years back to now, the government has introduced some kind of informal education system where you see our parents and our fathers going to the school in the evening to go and learn some kind of literacy, how to read and write local languages and English. I was once part of the facilitators. I had to assist a facilitator back at my constituency, and it was quite interesting. So that is the informal system of education.
So let me ask this question: if let's say someone who is 60 years decides to go to JHS today, is it also informal, or it is?
No, now that he's going to the JHS, meaning he's going to a structured school system.
Okay.
Going to follow some kind of instructions, a well-planned instructions, then that becomes formal. But with the informal system, they have their timeline in which they go, and it only comprises of that set of people. So you don't see, let's say, someone who is of school-going age mixing up with those adults, because their kind of curriculum is prepared and planned just to suit the kind of people they are going to deal with.
Thank you.
Thank
Amwa,
you.
what do you have to tell us about the various forms of education?
Yeah, my brother has said most of everything, but I'll just mention a few things. Education also looks more about the teaching side as well. When we talk about the forms of education, you could mention the methods in which people are being taught.
Okay.
And if we look at the forms from history till now, most of the time it was in the beginning it usually was parents to child, so it was more of a hands-on training, and that was also education because someone was learning something.
Yeah.
And if you move to a different form, you can talk about the growth type of education, where as you grow up you learn new things without having to go to class, having to go to school, based on experiences you've gone through. So those are the major forms of education. But if we come through the intricacies, we can see that another form of education has to do with skills acquisition and training. That is specifically learning one thing to become the best at it or something.
Okay.
Most of these methods work with in the armies and all those cases. So yeah, those are the various forms of educations. It can be physical, it can also be intellectual or academic.
Okay. So, with all that you said, what is the problem with education system? Today's education system.
Unlike before, today's educational system is trying to solve the problems that we had before. So I'll just mention a few problems from before. One of the problems that people used to have during, teaching and learning was because maybe the teacher did not understand how the student's learning method is. And those days, if you were not able to understand something that a teacher is teaching you, the way the teacher is teaching you, you were considered to be, a dunce, or you were not intelligent. But today, the methods have changed, and teachers are moving towards a system where it's more tailored to individual students. So the scientific method is used to test, students individually, to see that, oh, this is how this child learns, this is how this child, so that we can solve that problem. Yeah.
All right. Formerly, education was basically teacher centered. The teacher has all the information. The child is seen to have some kind of blank memory. He doesn't know anything. So the teacher has to feed into the child's brain all the information. And that has been a problem. And even currently, we still have that problem when we are looking at the developing countries like Ghana here, where most of our students, or at the basic level, don't have that means to get access to information on their own. So the teacher comes in, and then you realize that he has all the information as to whether the information is good or is bad, whether it is accurate or inaccurate. It is the teacher who has it, and then it is he or she is giving it to the students just the way he wants to do it. So you realize that we end up growing, or we end up breeding students who are, let me say, some kind of true and poor student. So they know, they can read. If you ask them, they can memorize it, they can give it to you. But when it comes to the skills, then it becomes a problem. Let me give you one example. You will learn in social studies that when you don't need to litter the environment. So when you drink water, try to put it inside the dustbin.
Yeah.
That is one thing you will learn in social studies currently in the basic citizenship education. But you see the children coming out drinking water and actually dropping it on the floor. But they just learned it in the classroom that you wouldn't have to do that.
Yeah.
But if you should ask them to write it on paper,
They'll write everything.
they'll write everything. They'll write it for you.
Yeah.
So you realize that one problem with our educational system is that we know, we can say it, we can write it, but when it comes to the change of attitude, that is it's having
The
effect.
implementation.
Yes, it's having effect on our behavior. It is not there.
Okay.
And that is one big thing that is worrying us today. So if you ask of problems of our educational system, this is a very big one that I will talk about.
Okay, so with what you said, don't you think that these systems are outdated and we should change it or look for other ways?
Yeah, they are actually outdated and we have to change it. We are changing gradually, but if you look at our side of the world where we are situated, you realize that things doesn't come that easy for us. Even in our school here, when we reopened, we were having challenges with Wi-Fi and internet system. So you realize that our part of the world, things are not actually okay. On the social media, Facebook, just recently, the newly teachers that were posted, you could see varieties of videos. Some people that were posted to the north, they were taking videos of the schools where they posted, and you could look at the school infrastructure and you could see that, wow, this is very bad.
Very bad.
So a child learning under this under that situation, there is nothing you are
There's no motivation.
yes, there is nothing. You are not going to teach that child something and it will have effect on the child's life. That is the child's behavior. So they are outmoded, all right. We understand. Everybody knows those systems are outdated now, and we need to develop more of the skill instead of the reading and then the chew and pull aspect. But the kind of resources we have now, it's not permitting our teachers to do that, and that is a major problem we are facing right now. So, and one thing is that as teachers or as individuals too, we cannot be depending on the government, or we cannot be depending on the big men up there to come and do everything for us. What we have to do is that it means we have to get a task in our own hands and then see how best we can improvise, or see how best we can solve solutions. That is why we've gone to school and we say we are teachers or we are educationists. Our work is to solve what problems. So the situation could not be allowing you, but you could be creative enough to find a way of solving problem.
Okay. So, how do you differentiate between good and bad information? How do you identify the good information? You know, we are surrounded with lots of information. How do you get good information to help you or facilitate learning or education? And how do you differentiate that from the bad ones?
Okay, what I'll say is that God has given us some kind of conscience that if something is bad, with your God given conscience, first of all, you would identify that this is bad. Because there is this golden rule which says that do unto others what you want others to do unto you. So if that information you are having, you know within yourself that if this information should be related to me, I'll feel bad or it will not go well with me, then you should know that technically this is what bad information, because something you can practically do by yourself and you see that this is not going well for me, then you should know that it is not what authentic. Let me give one example. There are a lot of people who say that when you wake up at dawn and you want to learn, or if you don't want to feel asleep when learning, try to put your leg into water and then you are going to be. I have tried it several times. I slept.
It didn't work.
Well, that
It didn't work. So if someone is propagating this and I have tried it myself and it didn't work on me, it tells me that this could be true for some people, but not everybody. So in general, this is not an information we can what rely on. And then also you could see that we just some of the information are just speculation. We just watch stuffs on the TV or on in movies, and then we believe that they are absolutely what through. So the best thing we need to do is that sometimes when we get this information, we need to test it. Let me tell you one thing about this bad information or true. I've not tested it yet to know. I was watching YouTube about electronics and stuff, and there was this video about you coiling, getting a speaker that is a radio speaker, coiling a copper around it, leading it to the terminal, cut a charger, and then lead the two to the both terminals, plug it to your phone, and you get internet access. It's very,
stupid.
I don't know, very interesting. I haven't tried. I've been saying I'll try it myself to test whether this thing works, because the process looks so simple
So simple.
and it's out there. And if you look at the views, over 58 million views, meaning a lot of people are watching that. So I'm here to test that myself to know whether that is true. So one thing is that when the information comes, for you to know whether it is good or it is bad, you have to test it.
Hey, so
Yeah.
what if it is bad and I go and test it right now?
Then boom.
Well, it is bad and you go, that is, it means you are also finding answers.
Okay.
That makes you,
That's even a new form of learning.
yes, you are finding answers because someone said this and you are like, wow, you try to find answers as to whether that is true. So basically we will have to test it. There is nothing, the whites have been testing almost everything, and that is how come they are on top when it comes to information.
Amwa, how do you find good information to facilitate your learning, and how do you distinguish it from the bad ones?
This is a very important question. I'm a university student, just as you know my brother here, and I know for one have a problem with finding the correct information. Um, One thing, or I have a few steps that I feel that we should use, and the first one is to know the source. The source of the information is very, very important. If you don't trust the source, there is no reason why you should take the source. Now, for internet, you use that as a source of info, but for internet, it's very easy to easily find the source. Most of the sites which don't have correct information usually have very obvious, showing that this information is not good. Most of these sites have adverts, too many ads. Anyway, moving on from the next thing that one should check when you are, sourcing information is to look at the information itself. Does it relate to what you are doing, and how plausible is it?
Okay.
For instance, my brother talked about a speaker charging your phone or giving you internet. That doesn't sound plausible, and so you need to look into the information and see how possible or how much this information makes sense before you start sharing it or start knowing more about it. And also, there's always a margin of error in any information you get, whether it's good or bad. And so it's not everything you need to trust. You need to pick what you need and what is correct, what is accurate. So yeah, that is how you should, differentiate between good information and bad information.
Okay, so I have this quote here. It says, "The pace of change is likely to accelerate even further. So people will need to learn all the time and to reinvent themselves repeatedly, even at age 60." That's by Yuval Noah Harari. So I want to ask that, in the light of this fact, how could schools teach our children to prepare for jobs they don't even know, or like for jobs in the future?
This is a very good question. Most of us, we've seen this in movies, but maybe you've not actually thought about it. Um, you notice that there are stories where you see maybe people knowing so much, children knowing so much, engineering, computer science, coding, and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And this all is because of we've seen it in movies, and you think it's really cool, but you see, we are moving to a future where this little information, thinking that you know a little bit of C++ or a little bit of Python and you know everything, that information will become redundant. Knowing all that will become as little as knowing ABCD. And so we will need to continuously learn. As human beings, we know that you can use almost 1% of your entire brain your whole life. The remaining 99% is not there for nothing. So you could
Do
try.
we really use 1%?
Yep. You could read it online. We use 1%.
Just one.
1%. That's how good our brain is. More than 1 terabyte. Anyway, so yeah, that is one important thing that we need. One solution to that problem is to reduce or bring down the things that would be studied in, say, universities, and would be considered advanced information, should be simplified for the children so that they too can learn it before they reach that point. And
Okay.
instead of learning it as basics, they will learn it as advanced, much more advanced knowledge. And that we
Okay.
would be able to solve the continuous learning. This one. And making making those complex things as basic knowledge. So as a parent, your job is to teach them ABCD. Then when they go to school, they learn these other things.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much. And with your question, it's very interesting, and I'll say that as human beings, we are never going to stop learning, and we are always going to learn. And learning is a continuous process, and we are going to be learning till the time we die. Now, how does this learning come to impact our lives, or how do we learn? Sometimes you could deliberately plan and learn something. Sometimes too, you are not aware you are even learning it, but truly you are learning it.
Okay.
So it means that day in, day out, the environment itself is shaping us. It's making us learn even when we are not ready, or when we don't even know we are what learning.
Okay.
Let me say this, that some of our old women, or even when you go to the roadside over here, those food joints, they could never use mobile money, or they were not able to use mobile money, but it got to some time mobile money is now everywhere, so they had to what learn it, and then even accept it in their enterprises,
Yeah.
in order to make what money. Because if you say you are not going to make the use of mobile money, then you will lose a lot of money. So the environment alone is even forcing you to what to learn in the first place. So if you are saying that you are not going to learn, or you are going to be that static, you wouldn't want to add value to wherever you are doing, then a time will come and you realize that you cannot fit anymore in the society. And now one must be able to adapt before life can be meaningful for you or to you. Other than that, you will just be a vague person moving around. And then with what my brother said earlier on, it is very important. I have seen the current curriculum, which is plan, or which is drawn for the basic schools. I have seen it. I have used the class 3 side of the curriculum to teach
And how was it?
It was cool. You could see C++ in it, and I was like,
Class
wow.
3.
Class 3, you could see
Wow.
Visual Basic
Wow.
in the ICT aspect. I was like, wow.
That's
If these children should get good teachers who are good in these areas, right from class 1, they are able to use Visual Basic, they are able to use C++. By the time they get to class 6, they will be doing a lot.
True.
Some of us from SHS to diploma in basic education, we are here to come and do IT. We've never met programming before. We didn't even know what programming is. I didn't know what C++ was, Java. I didn't know. Now I am here and this is it. But look at someone who has been exposed to it right from class 1.
Right from the start.
By the time that child gets to university, you could understand or you could imagine what that child will be coming with, or what that child could be building.
Yes. And also, I think that they should be encouraged to look at other various fields. It shouldn't be only one aspect, so that they would not be limited to some particular kind of information, but then they should be open and exposed to so many.
Yeah, it is very true. I was just saying just a bit of it, just a part of it that I am talking about. But if you look at that curriculum, the only thing is that I don't know how we are going to get money to implement that curriculum. But that curriculum has a lot of goodies in it. But look at this C++ I am talking about. If you are not inclined with it, how will you be able to teach it well? So even though that curriculum has a lot of goodies, you still need technical people. You still need people with the technical know-how, the knowledge, the idea to be able to mold these children. Other than that, it will just be what we are talking about. They are also going to read and then they can write it on paper. But when you give them the real thing to do, they wouldn't be able to do it. So I'm saying that we should be able to add values to our lives by learning.
This show has been very, very interesting, and then for the sake of time, we can't complete everything here. So next week, God willing, we'll be looking at the same topic. We'll be looking at it further, so don't think that this is just it. We would like to bring to you the security tips for this week, and Eugenia will do that for us.
Hello. This is Eugenia. I'm bringing you security tips, and this week, we are also looking at another part of social engineering. I think once I've spoken about shoulder surfing.
Yes.
Today I'm taking us through something simple: fishing.
Is it
Please, it's not
Is
the
it a fish?
fishing. You do your consistency. This a fishing with a PH, not an F.
Okay.
It's just simply trying to steal like user data, which may include login credentials, and it entails a lot, because if this thing is done, imagine your credit card. Even Ghana, we don't really use credit cards, but let me say you use Visa cards and those things. Imagine your logins being stolen. Imagine.
Even your momo,
Even if your Momo code is like a lot can be done, and people use this a lot in stealing nowadays, and they do it through simple things like sending an email.
What kind of email?
Like they'll just send you an email to make it look good. For example, you might receive an email, especially the ones I'm really aware of is this astrological thing, zodiac sign. Come and read your zodiac, know your star, know your future, what's your future readings and those things. And people usually tend to believe these superstitious things and they fall for it. You tap it and you definitely go and look at, let me tap this link and go and see the readings, and during that time you don't know what data can be stolen from the device of which you were using.
So like links in general,
links in general, unless you have to be, sometimes you can tell from the links if you're really, sometimes the HTTPS thing, sometimes you can see sometimes it comes with an S or something. So sometimes if you're really, really,
You need to be observant.
you need to be observant to know such things. But for those who are not really that IT inclined, it's not everybody who can tell whether a link is fake or not. So sometimes you just have to be careful.
So if you don't know the link, you shouldn't.
If you don't know the
click it.
link, you shouldn't click it. And sometimes you're going to read your future. Yo, I know sometimes the temptation is there. Yes, I want to know what will happen to me, what, but you know, it's not everything you have to fall for, you know. And it's not only this, they can even use it with normal ads, text messages, especially those text messages. And send this to short code what to win what. If not invested anyway, you want to win what?
Recently, I've been receiving some messages that they are employing people here, so I should click on this link to register. I'm like, hey.
Yeah, you click, you register. Definitely, they'll ask for your name.
Mm-hmm.
They will definitely ask for your email. They might ask for your email address or your phone number or something. Those information, you don't know what they might use it for. Even only your name. Because now that even Ghana here, we've started with this whole registration of your name getting attached to a lot of things. They just get your full name, and they will not only ask for your first name. You ask for your full name,
Yes.
just your full name, and you
Email.
you don't know, and your email. They are getting a lot of things from you. So with such things, you should avoid it. And even someone unknown numbers, this unknown numbers texting you on instant messages such as WhatsApp and the rest. That one too. So now the best thing to do is just have to be careful of the emails that is being sent to you. It's not everything that you have to click on. It's not every email you have to open, and it's not every text message or instant message that you should reply. If you think you don't know the person, what I do, if I don't know you, you send hi, then you disturb me, I'll block you.
Sharp.
I'll just block you. If it's that important, you will call. And even the calling crana is dangerous, because you just call and then you don't know what they'll be doing at the back, whatever they are doing to your device. So
Okay.
that's all I have for it today.
Thank you very much for the security tips. We'll make sure to follow them. You listen to us. We discuss education in the world of information, and you realize that learning in the classroom is not the only form of education. There are other various forms of education, and then when you are looking for information, make sure that they are from correct and trusted sources. And also, if you find something, an information, you can try testing it out. If you feel it is, testable, yes, test it to find whether it is accurate or it is good. And then the information that you get, probably when you search online, you should make sure that it is related to what you are looking for. And then we also learned that we should encourage children to start learning difficult things from earlier stage. In that way, when they grow up, it wouldn't be anything difficult to them. And also, we should be conscious of what we are learning, and then sometimes so we learn without even knowing that we are learning. So information and learning is an everyday thing, and it's all around us. Thank you for listening, and thank you for tuning in to Valley View Radio 97.7. This is Tech Talk. Thank you.